All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. My name is Beth Kuchar. I'm chairperson of Innovate Pasadena, and you are here for our twice a month Ask an Expert series. And today's expert guest is Aaron Hawkey, who is a CTO and an entrepreneur from Pasadena. And he is currently the co-founder of a company called BallerTV, which is a sports media startup. And we are really pleased to have him here today answering your questions about NFTs and sports. Aaron, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here and chat about NFT and sports. Happy to share a little bit of background on myself. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been doing this for 20 plus years. I went to LaSalle High School here in Pasadena, where I met the co-founder that I've been working with on all my 3 startups. My first startup was back in 1998 when I was a junior at UCLA. I didn't love walking from my dorm room to the Wooden Center to check my intramural schedule. So built a company called intramurals.com to put intramural departments online. And it was kind of a stereotypical dorm room startup, raised $1 million, brought in a CEO, sold it 2 years later after we grew it to about 500 campuses. Awesome experience, kind of took all those learnings and applied it to my next startup. And I'm generally a solve your own problem entrepreneur. I was an electrical engineer at UCLA, didn't get the help that I needed, and was on a mission to build the world's largest online study community called Cramster, and we did just that. So we built this company over 8 years and sold it in 2010, and it built it in Pasadena, right down the street from where I'm at today. Sold it in 2010 to a company called Chegg. Many people probably heard of Chegg. I thought when I got to Chegg, I was going to vest out my 3 years on a beach somewhere, but it turns out Chegg's business model of renting textbooks wasn't the most ideal, but 3 years later, Chegg actually IPO'd on the massive growth of Cramster, now known as Chegg Study. Chegg Study is now a $10 billion plus business, absolutely incredible business, and it was an awesome thing to be a part of. So I left, about a year after the IPO, and then took some time off and got back together with the same co-founder I've been working with for 20 plus years. And we're like, all right, what are we gonna do with our lives? And I was like, all right, let's do something in sports. I was big in playing pickup basketball here at Caltech, and we decided to build an app to help live stream and keep stats and things like that for these pickup basketball games. We eventually hired about 5 Caltech engineers straight out of Caltech and built this product and launched it a little over 4 years ago. And the idea was to live stream these recreational and pickup basketball games. But this is the first time where when I was trying to solve my own problem, it turns out that nobody really wanted to watch me play basketball at Caltech. So we decided to shift our focus and make a hard pivot towards connecting families and building a product that essentially live streams youth sports at a scale that has never been seen before. So BallerTV, we're essentially building the world's largest sports network, and we're starting by focusing on the massive void in youth sports. There's about 50 million youth sporting events every year, and a small fraction of them get broadcasted. And I always talk about ESPN and how they started back in the early 80s and what enabled them to go deep down the tail in sports, and it was satellite transmission and cable distribution. And today we have some enabling technologies like the gig economy. We have these amazing smartphones. We built an autonomous camera right out of an iPhone, along with 4G and 5G live streaming. And it's enabled us to do, go deeper down the tail than anybody else. We've already live streamed over 300,000 games this year alone, mostly basketball and volleyball. And the interesting thing about this conversation is we are capturing moments in sports at an unprecedented scale. And as NFTs have started to blossom over the last 6 to 12 months, we've had to take a look at them and see how they apply to our market, which is mostly focused on youth sports. So happy to have this conversation. Most of the angle that I look at things is all from the youth sports angle, but happy to kind of dive into any topics that people are most interested in. So that's the quick background on me and BallerTV.
Awesome. Well, and I want to remind everybody who's joining us today live that you can go ahead and ask your question in the Q&A for Aaron. But we did have some folks who asked you a question when they signed up. So I'm going to share that first question on screen with you.
All right. What can be used for NFTs? How do you determine whether a moment or a player's NIL has worth to be an NFT? This is a great question. So, when I think about our market in youth sports, it's a question mark, right? Like, clearly Top Shot has showcased the NFTs and selling moments. It's just the new digital trading card, right? Trading cards were very popular when I was growing up, and they've kind of gone through the roof during the pandemic. And then now this digital version of trading cards is clearly the next generation. And from our perspective, it's a pretty unique problem to solve because we have such a long tail. But what's clear is that there are speculators out there who want to, make a guess on who is going to be the next LeBron. I always say the next LeBron, the next Kerry Walsh, the next Alex Morgan, they're playing on BallerTV right now. And we're capturing their moments. And to put these in an NFT, whether it's a soccer goal or a slam dunk or whatever, it will allow people to, essentially purchase these moments and speculate that these players are going to be great in the future. And these players will also benefit from that as we, share in that purchase. So, a lot of people ask, like, what needs to be in this moment? Like, a lot of athletes are selling more than just dunks. Like, take, for example, Jalen Suggs. Like, I went to UCLA, as I mentioned. Jalen Suggs, hit the game-winning, half-court shot to get to the finals in the NCAA tournament this year. It's heartbreaking, but Jalen went and released an NFT of the shot. But you notice that this NFT doesn't actually have any footage of the shot. It's literally called The Shot, and it does not have the shot in the NFT, right? So you can, essentially make an NFT off of anything as long as there's, some artistic element to it, and there's a rarity factor to it. It can appreciate in value as long as there's a market for it. So really anything can be a NFT, but for our focus is like, we definitely want to capture the moments of these athletes. What did LeBron James look like when he was a 9-year-old or 9 years old and playing youth basketball? Like, these are the moments we're capturing. So we definitely look at it from a little bit different perspective. And I forgot the last part of the question. You want to bring that up again? Let's see, you might want to go back one slide. There it is. Okay, yeah. And yeah, how do you determine the worth? I mean, the market determines the worth. We released for example, like, we're at the tail of this. Like, clearly Top Shot has shown there's a market, and that has fluctuated over time, but we're deep down the tail here. So if anybody is experimenting with the market, it's us. We released NFTs for some of the top 30 players, high school basketball players in the country about a month or so ago. And some sold out immediately, and some, sat there. And there's multiple reasons for that. But, in the end of the day, we showed that there is certainly signal down the tail, and the market determines the worth, essentially. And even at the youth sports level, we had NFTs selling in the thousands of dollars range for players that an average person has never even heard of. So I would say the tail is very interesting, even in the NFT market. It's not all LeBron James dunks. All right, what are the benefits for the players, both student athletes and professional players? What about the sports industry? So of course, our focus is on the youth athletes. Clearly, when the NCAA loosened the rules on NIL on July 1, it changed a lot. So collegiate athletes are able to, monetize their likeness more than they ever been done before. There's still a lot of gray area on the youth side. But take, for example, the NFT drop we did about a month ago. We had to work around the rules a little bit on the youth side, but essentially the deal we had is like, okay, we are going to, cut you a check for your portion of the proceeds, either after you graduate or now, depending on the requirements of the state that you're in, because every state, every school has different requirements on eligibility within the NIL rules. So we had to work a little magic there, but we found a solution, or they could donate it to a charity or team of their choice. So What at the collegiate level, these athletes are certainly going to have more and more opportunities to monetize their likeness via NFTs. And this is just another incremental way where athletes can earn money. I'm a big proponent that athletes at all levels should not be restricted from making money off their name, image, likeness. If a 9-year-old kid can make money, live streaming, video games on Twitch, why can't a basketball player do the same? It just doesn't make any sense. So, BallerTV is definitely on the side of the athletes and really pushing to make sure that they benefit, on things like NFTs, because we're really early in this NFT market. It has already gone up and down multiple times in the last year, but this is here to stay. So really excited about the opportunities for these athletes to earn incremental income via this platform.
And we'll bring up the next question. Sorry, just a moment here.
All right. What does this space of NFTs and what does this space of NFTs and sports may look like in the next 5 years? Or what do you hope it'll grow into? That's a great question. I think it's different depending on what level you're talking about. Clearly, Top Shot has done some interesting things, but I'm really excited about what a company called So Rare has been doing. They've been essentially gamifying these NFTs and making it a really interesting experience to both do some speculation and have some fun at the same time. I'm also excited about, obviously, the smart contracts that exist as part of these NFTs and all the interesting things you could do to unlock access to, whether it's where you can play as if you're this high school athlete in NBA 2K, or all the fun things you could do with NFTs at our level. Are certainly interesting. So I think we're really early here, but beyond just the digital asset, our CTO just walked in and handed this to me, like, beyond just watching like this, these amazing dunks and these incredible athletes, play basketball, there are ways you can unlock access to them or to other benefits as part of the NFT, which I think, make this even more interesting than just pure speculation, right? Like, Roddy Gale, like this guy is going to be could potentially be an incredible player in the NBA, right? And it's like, this is his NFT, and there are people buying this and speculating that this is going to be worth a lot of money one day. So, but I'm most intrigued by all the other things that could be unlocked via these NFTs beyond just pure speculation. So it's not a great answer, but I would look to like some of the leaders like So Rare and Top Shot and where they're going, and we are looking and watching what they're doing very closely and seeing how it applies to our youth sports space. And, our number one priority is like, okay, how can these players benefit from this? There's a lot of players that are trying to understand what these new NIL rules mean for them. And clearly the opportunities in technology and NFTs could make things really interesting in the coming years.
And I want to remind everybody out there, go ahead and type your question in the Q&A, and Aaron can answer that for you. But we do have, and this is in the private chat here, so this might just be intended for you, but maybe you can answer anyway. Got a comment, go Bruins, Westbrook is coming back to LA. Who's the next Westbrook on BallerTV? Are you watching who's on BallerTV and kind of keeping your eye on any people in particular?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, we always have like internal office conversations about, who we think is the next XYZ player. There's certainly a lot of speculation going on out there. Who is the next? I mean, Westbrook is a great example. Like, he was a 3-star athlete coming out of high school. Like, he did go to UCLA, but he was not a highly recruited player. So as we think about, NFTs in our space, like, you have a lot of people who would love to speculate, like Dwayne Wade wasn't a highly recruited player out of high school, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, these guys were, they were good high school players, but they didn't get tons of D1 offers and nobody expected them to be NBA superstars. So like, in terms of who I'm following, like, I saw Amani Bates. He's not the next Westbrook. He's probably next Kevin Durant. I saw Amani Bates play like 3 years ago. when he was a freshman at EYBL, and I knew it when I saw him, like immediately, this guy is going to be a superstar. So, Jalen Duren, the #1 player in the country, watched him play a bunch over at the Pangos All-American camp where he dropped these NFTs. I mean, he looks like he could, be inserted into the NBA lineup right now and be a double-double type guy. So it's really fun to watch these athletes grow. A fun story is the first game we ever live streamed was back in December of 2016, first event. And we actually had, the first event was with LaMelo Ball was playing in it. It was a Tarkanian Classic back in December of 2016. Where LaMelo Ball was playing for Chino Hills and they were playing Mater Dei. And it was, I always say it's the first game we ever live streamed, and this year he's the Rookie of the Year. So it's amazing to watch the progression. I mean, in that game, he must have gone 3 for 25 shooting. They still won the game, but it wasn't pretty. There was a lot of speculation of whether or not, he wasn't 6'8" back then. He was like 6'1" and change maybe. So there's a lot of debate internally on whether or not, he would be a superstar in the NBA, if make the NBA at all. And clearly, all the doubters were proved wrong. So it's been fun to watch the career arcs of a lot of these players on BallerTV. And, in a couple of years, people are going to go from playing on BallerTV directly to the NBA when they stop this one and done rule, which is almost inevitably going to happen in the next few years. So it's going to be even more fun. This year, the NBA draft just happened. It's always fun. Almost every player, sans maybe a few foreign players, have played on BallerTV. We followed their careers. And it's always fun to see like who gets drafted where, and like, oh yeah, I saw that guy at this event, or I saw this guy on BallerTV at this event, and see where they end up in the draft and follow their careers in the NBA. So I always like to say BallerTV is essentially connecting top to the bottom. Like, we are going to be that there's this massive void in broadcasting of youth sports, and there happens to be a massive wave of interest into these, going deeper down into these youth sports. And we're kind of at the right time at the right place. And it's just kind of an awesome and a fun company to be part of.
Very cool. And I just have to comment, watching the chat here, you have a lot of Bruins fans in your audience. So Robert asks, what other NFT applications are being developed like So Rare, where sports NFT has utility in a game environment?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know what else is being developed outside of what we're looking at, but clearly, like, you can probably hear, and as I describe this opportunity, like, this is not our core business, but it's something that we have to look at very seriously, especially as we are putting athletes first, and we want to make sure that they maximize their NIL opportunities even at the youth level. So, as we're brainstorming on our end, you can just imagine all of the fun things that we could talk about, more than just doing an NFT drop at a tournament. It could revolve around, speculation. Like every avid basketball fan thinks they're a great scout. Like, we always talk about this office, like who is like the next, like Westbrook, who is the next LeBron, right? Like, and you want to be that one person who kind of, has always said, oh, that's the diamond in the rough. Like our VP of Biz Dev and founding team member, Sandeep Hingorani, he called it back in, freshman year of LaMelo Ball. He's like, that guy's going to be a star in the NBA, I guarantee you. And he gets credit. Like, what does he earn from that? He earns like props and credibility and, just increased, domain expertise, respect, right? Like, so there are opportunities for people to, look deeper than just Top Shot, to find like who are the up and coming athletes in these sports. And especially as these one and done rules are over with, like there's a lot of opportunities to allow, people like me who are, crazy sports fans who want to know, okay, who's going to UCLA? What players are going to go from UCLA to the NBA, and who am I going to follow? Like that happens across the board for a lot of these avid, especially college basketball fans. So like identifying who's the next XYZ player is kind of a fun thing that we're teasing out as a layer on top of just like pure speculation with NFTs. But our main focus is just like, okay, how can these athletes maximize the proceeds that they receive from their name, image, likeness, just because this is a new era in sports. I think this ruling change on July 1 is going to change, lives for a decent number of athletes. It may not impact every single athlete in this country, but it'll certainly give the opportunity with the right hustle, with the right effort going into it. Like, athletes are now able to monetize their name, image, likeness at the collegiate level, and we're pushing hard to allow it at the high school level as well.
So we have more of a startup related question here from Jean, who asks, some lessons you learned founding Cramster and selling to Chegg that you apply or avoid for BallerTV?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say the main lesson is don't underestimate yourself. Like, obviously, like this, I'm a story of a founder who probably sold a little too early. I did just fine. I'm very blessed to be in the position I'm in, but the company that, I essentially built with my other founder out of, my dorm room at UCLA, a long time ago, is essentially the exact same business that's, a $10 billion plus business. So I like to think that I've taken those learnings and really, have more confidence in my ability to swing for the fences here, right? Like, I think it's, the parallels between BallerTV and Cramster are pretty real in terms of it's a long tail content subscription business. Yes, it's in a different market, but I would say that this one is much more exciting because we have a fan base of 100 million absolutely rabid super fans. And these are parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles and neighbors who all want to watch these kids play, right? The market opportunity is just tremendous. So to answer that question specifically, I sold too early. And I've learned that lesson, and part of it had to do with like our confidence level and be able to take it to the next level, whatever that level was, But going through that and kind of seeing firsthand that it is possible, to be able to do that, really applying it to BallerTV, and we're not going to make that same mistake again. So there's probably a long list of other learnings from my last startup, but that's a primary one in terms of just like have confidence in yourself. Like, you can certainly take it the distance if you put in the effort, and don't sell yourself short. So we're doing that with BallerTV, and so far, I mean, it's been a roller coaster ride, but fortunately, like, we're definitely pointed in the right direction now. It's been just a massive comeback year for us. I don't want to say post-COVID because we're still in the thick of it, but live streaming youth sports is now an essential part of youth sports. It's a new expectation, and BallerTV is the category leader in live streaming youth sports. So it's putting us in a great position to really dominate this really hyper fragmented but massive market.
We are back to another NFT related question here. How do you prevent someone who might make their own NFT personally, like filming during a basketball game? And I assume this is like a game that's being live streamed as well on BallerTV.
That's a great question. I mean, there's nothing like physically that we can prevent them from doing that, but legally we do have our options, right? We are rights holders. We go out and buy rights to these events, and we own these exclusive video and media rights where another person can't just walk into a gym and film a top athlete and create an NFT from that content, right? Any athlete can go and create their own NFT. They can stand in a hallway and get a picture of them and put up an NFT, and that's what a lot of athletes have had to do because they don't have the licensing to the footage. Now, the unique thing about BallerTV is, we own this content. We have the license to do whatever we want with it. And we, don't allow other people to monetize the content. So we do have the dunks. We do have, similar to Top Shot, like you do have the dunks. We do have the content. And it makes it really interesting because we are a massive rights holder. And we, generally will defend our rights. So, if somebody put up an NFT of a game that we own the rights to, we would take issue with it, right? And I don't know if that means we would stick our lawyers on them, but we would have a conversation, right? This is youth sports. It's a super fragmented space. It's very a lot happens. It's a boots on the ground business. So, we would have a conversation and work it out. Let's just put it that way. I don't want to make it seem like we're overly litigious, but, we do own the rights to these events. We do, buy the rights, and we will protect that.
Awesome. And I know we're getting close to 12:30 here, but I think we have time for another question or two if you have the time available. Just feel free to type your question in the Q&A. I'm curious, based on your startup background, all of the startups that you have been involved in founding or co-founding have some sort of a higher education base. How has BallerTV been different, though? Has there been any additional challenges because we're talking about youth sports?
Yeah, I mean, it's different because it's like the first one where I really wasn't solving my own problem. It's like, the first two were very clear. It's like, saw a problem and like built it and solved it, right? Like, and it, where we started was kind of exactly where I thought it would go, right? With this one, I mean, we were, trying to live stream my Caltech pickup basketball games. There's probably content still on BallerTV somewhere in the archive of me playing pickup basketball at Caltech. And it's like, that really wasn't a good idea. Like that wasn't, a venture scale type business. But, this is the first time where we've had to really make hard choices and hard pivots. Almost 4 years ago to the day, we decided, like Rob and I, had kind of came together and we're like, man, we're burning cash. Like, we're trying to do this free app thing. Like, we basically released like a Facebook Live for sports, right? And we tried to get outside of our comfort zone. And it's like, we decided like, hey, like, let's get back to what we're good at and build a long tail content subscription business where people are willing to pay for it. Like, with Cramster, we were selling aspirin, not vitamins. Like with BallerTV, it's the same. We're selling water in the desert. Like we're connecting families to their kids, and it's a real powerful mission. So this is the first time where we've had to really make hard pivots. We literally took the app off the App Store. We kind of repositioned our whole business around, buying rights to events, live streaming those events, and then getting, parents and families to pay to watch. But it was the right choice. Clearly, since then it was essentially a rocket ship, but minus COVID punching us in the gut, 15, 16 months ago. But yeah, it's the first time we've really had to make hard decisions and hard pivots compared to my last two companies, where it was like very straightforward, exactly what problem we were solving from the get-go. So I would like to say I'm solving my future problem. I've got two kids, 5 and 4 year olds. They're two boys. They're starting to play soccer. So I always tell our autonomy team, who's I'd say is the best autonomous camera team in the world, that if our broadcast of their soccer games when they're 10 doesn't look like I'm watching ESPN, I'm going to be disappointed. So that's kind of our North Star. So I'm solving my future problem. So when they start playing, semi-competitive soccer, I definitely want to be able to watch them on BallerTV because, I'm a parent. I know I can't always be there for every moment. And, if BallerTV helps connect them to those moments, then that's a pretty special thing.
Set the bar high. I like that. So we do have one more question here from Vincent, who asks, from whom do you buy your exclusive rights for the content you create?
That's a great question. So, it's a variety of sources. So it could be, partnering with a local high school to do their, high school basketball tournament. For the most part, we're focused on youth club sports. So we'll go to a club sport event director, and the value proposition is easy. Hey, we're BallerTV. We're going to come in and live stream every single game of your event, so your customers, your parents, and family members can stay connected to the athletes playing in this event, and we're going to pay you some money. It is a very easy pitch, to be honest. And I'd like to say, like, we have essentially figured out scale. So we don't go and just do the top court of these events. We go and do every court. For example, like our biggest event ever is, we have a multi-year deal with the AAU, one of our biggest partners, where we do their volleyball event every year. It's the biggest volleyball event in the world. And we go to them and say, hey, we want to buy the rights to this event and partner with you. and we're going to live stream all 175 courts. And, when they first heard our pitch, they were like, really? And we're like, no, literally, we're going to live stream all 175 courts at all over a 10-day period and live stream over 18,000 games, which we just did about a month ago. So it's like nobody can do our scale. So we're both a technology company and a logistics company. And so we'll go to these partners and, offer them coverage and exposure for their athletes, and we'll give them some money. And our job is to go and execute and live stream those games. So, it ranges from, a club event operator to a high school athletic director to a larger organization like AAU and USA Volleyball that we have long-term exclusive media rights deal. So it's like, this is youth sports. It's by sport, it's like super fragmented. Basketball is hyper fragmented. Volleyball is slightly less fragmented. Soccer's relatively fragmented. So it's like there's so many different levels of organizations and operations to partner with. And we have hundreds of different rights agreements with organizations across the country. So it's a wide range is the short answer.
Awesome. Wow. Well, I'm really excited that you had a chance to answer these questions for us today, and very cool, all of the startup activity that you have been responsible for in Pasadena just yourself. And any last words for our audience before we sign off today?
Thanks for joining. I really appreciate all the questions, and thanks to Innovate Pasadena for having me here. This is awesome. Just a heads up, if you like sports, and we are hiring. We are scaling as quickly as possible into this market. We are right now essentially only in 2 sports in a big way. We've just started to scale into soccer and lacrosse. This is a massive greenfield market, and we love that Pasadena is our home base. We love that we're right near Caltech, but there's a lot of smart people in this area that we'd love to talk to if you're looking to get into sports. This is an awesome space to be in if you're passionate about sports and technology.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Aaron Hawkey, BallerTV, and Pasadena serial entrepreneur as well. Thank you for joining us today.
No, thanks for having me. Have a great day.
And thank you to our audience for joining us for the Ask Me Anything series. So we look forward to seeing you again next time.